With us now, the former three-term Republican governor of New York State on the phone with us now, George Pataki. Governor, very good to have you. What do you think of all of this?
You know, Neil, it's a sad day for New York. It had to happen. The handwriting was on the wall. If the investigations had been allowed to be completed by the legislature, he would have been impeached. So this wasn't an act of courage. It was just a sad day for all New Yorkers.
We do just have a statement right now from the Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul. Governor said, I agree with Governor Cuomo's decision to step down. It is the right thing to do and in the best interest of New Yorkers. As someone who has served at all levels of government and is next in line of succession, I am prepared to lead as New York State's 57th governor. As you know, Governor, she will be the first woman in that position in the Empire State. What do you think of her? What do you think of her reputation? What you know of it? What do you think?
You know, we just don't know. I know her background. I know that she was in Congress. I know she comes from Western New York and had a relatively centrist, for a Democrat, record. But how that translates into how she's going to act as governor, we just don't know. I'm an optimist by nature, Neil, as you know. So hopefully she will change things dramatically, bring a breath of fresh air to Albany. But I can tell you, this is New York, and the odds are overwhelming that the day she becomes governor, or even this afternoon, there are dozens of people thinking of running as a Democratic candidate for governor next year. So there will be primaries, there will be political infighting. I'm sure it's starting right now. So hopefully she will have a period when she can clear the deck, get rid of that horribly toxic environment that Albany has been for the last few years, and get off on the right foot. But there's going to be a lot of political pressures from all sides here.
Yeah, you know, Governor, we always talk about, and even when you were governor and we would chat many times, I mean, that this notion that New York is a global, of global importance, not just the city, the state itself, called the Empire State for a reason. It's also in the case of New York City, and New York State in general is the financial capital of the world. And obviously you were cognizant of that as a three-term governor yourself, that you don't want to do anything that could jeopardize that or drive people away. But between the high crime in New York and the higher taxes, in fact, one that the Governor Cuomo just wrote off on a couple of months back, that includes a surtax on the wealthy. It's become a very, very prohibitive environment. Is it your sense that the lieutenant governor would or even want to change any of that?
I would hope she tries to do it right away, Neil, because New York is really hurting economically. As you mentioned, crime is through the roof. The quality of life, whether it's the mentally ill homeless on the streets or the subways not working right, has declined significantly. The tax burden has been driven up during the Cuomo years to the highest in the country. And we have now the added crisis that with COVID, people don't want to go back and work in congested spaces in high-rise office buildings. I go in my office fairly regularly, more than once a week on average. There's nobody there. And we need to have Albany send a very clear message, and it's not just about the next mayor, it's about the next governor as well, that we are going to dramatically change things, improve the economic climate, deal with the criminal crisis that we have, not just in the city but across the state, deal with the mentally ill homeless, and that we want business to come to New York. We want them to stay. We're not just going to wave goodbye because we don't like their politics.
I'm curious as well, Governor, what Republicans do in this environment. As you say, it's an overwhelmingly Republican city and state. You were a little-known mayor of Peekskill, New York, when you decided to challenge the godfather of Democratic politics. I don't mean that as an Italian slight, by the way, as an Italian-American myself, but Andrew Cuomo, and you toppled him. And I think anything is possible. I know when Curtis Lee was here, the New York Republican mayoral candidate, he quoted your rise as something that could be repeated. But can it, in this environment? Do you think that can be repeated?
Yes. There's no question in my mind that the Republicans have a real opportunity to win the governorship next year. What you need, Neil, you said it right. It's an overwhelmingly Democratic state. But what you need are enough Democratic voters who just say that they cannot tolerate the direction of the state with the current leadership, and they want to change the direction. And I
Governor,
think that
do you
would have
think
been
that
the
that
case.
changes with time, though? I mean, I think I misspoke. I meant Mario Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's father, who you
Right.
toppled. But what's interesting, is it the three-term thing and enough already, no matter who you are, no matter how good a governor you are, that people tire of you? Do you think that was part of what was undoing Governor Andrew Cuomo? I don't want to take leaps here. I'm just curious that it's not been a good track record for those after 3 terms going for a fourth.
Neil, I think that's absolutely right. Yeah, there's truth to that voters do get tired of you after a period of time. But I also think next year that the Democratic Party is going to have a brutal battle. If Hochul continues her background presenting her as a more centrist, moderate Democrat, there are going to be primaries from the left. I can see Bill de Blasio, who was a horrible mayor, primarying her and having a chance of winning if he's the only candidate from the far left. And if one of those candidates wins the Democratic primary, and I'd say there's a good chance they could, then a Republican has a tremendous opportunity to win the governorship. So I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't write it off. I think when I look at the future of this state, when I look at the problems of crime and taxes and quality of life and the collapse of the education system really in New York City, it's gotten a lot worse. It creates a tremendous opportunity for Republicans, regardless of who the Democratic candidate next year is.
Governor, thank you very much. Always good chatting with you.